What's going on, everybody? It's your boy C-Zar, and we are talking about Bitcoin today, BTC USD. Hit that like button, you guys. Subscribe if you want to see more content like this, and let's get into it, my friends. We have about 9 hours and 15 minutes left in this day on this, the 18th of April here. We're sitting at about $84.5 thousand, and if we're looking at the 1 hour time frame, I want to use the 1 hour and then build out from here. The 1 hour RSI is rather neutral right now, right? We're bouncing between the 40 line and the 60 line here, and we're just finding some turbulence, right? It's very common to bounce and ping pong between the 40 and the 60. We see this sometimes whenever we're consolidating or providing very neutral price action. One way or another, whenever we get below the 40 or above the 60, we're going to find a breaking point that will take us lower or higher. I think it's okay if we go lower. Not financial advice, not a financial advisor. I'm not calling for us to go lower, but I think it's okay if we go lower, because if we zoom out, we look at this on a 4 hour perspective. We also have a horizontal channel. I think this is a nice horizontal channel here on the 4 hour time frame, right? There's your high point. Here's your low point, something like this, right? You can see it's a very neutral pattern. Neutral patterns tend to break in the direction that the pattern is being led into. So being that we came in from the downside, we came in up, I would think that we leave to the upside as well. But we could go lower, again, just in that sense on the 1 hour time frame there. If we were to break below the 40 and maybe see some oversold readings, perhaps we could go back down to about 83.2K, 84K, something in that area there, right? We're at 84.5K now, so a little bit lower wouldn't be terrible. It's just possible, right? I'm not calling for that necessarily. I'm just saying it could happen. 15-minute RSI is too damn neutral to really tell one way or another. The 1 hour, same thing. It's too damn neutral to really tell. I suppose it looks like we're finding support on this little thing right now. Yeah, I guess we're finding support here. So does it hold or does it break? I guess that's the question. We'll know soon enough. By the time most of you guys watch this, you'll probably know. On a 4 hour basis, though, I'm really focused on this channel as a whole. Whenever we break above about 85.7K, let's just say 86K to make it easy on the brain, 86K, you get a 4 hour candle to close above 86K. That's how we know it's time to move upward to the area that we're expecting. If we close below 83.2K, perhaps then we do move down to 81.5K, something down here. We find a higher low. After all, from a low to a high, not the fake out high, but the actual high here. Come on now, there we go. That would put us right there at our 382, and I think that that'd be a good area to find support. The fact that we found such keen support on the 236 like this, I'm going to delete these white lines here so it's a little bit less distracting. The fact that we found support on the red line right here, this baseline, the base of this horizontal channel like that, it's very uncommon. But it is rather indicative that we might actually be moving higher, right? We actually could see some movement higher. Generally speaking, when you interact with the 236 like this is the time where you do continue to build higher without checking back at the 382. But it's absurdly uncommon to not check back with the 382. It's very, very common when working your way higher in any scenario to pull back to the 382, move higher, pull back to the golden ratio, the 786, move higher, something in that area, right? Whenever you see direct respect like this, however, this can signal that you're ready to move higher without that deeper retracement. But if we see some interactions where we're faltering below this line, stuff like this, or obviously if you wick a little bit further below it, absolutely I would believe that we go down to $81.5 to $80,000. It's also very common when interacting with the 382 to go just below it there. So don't be surprised if we do go below this line. That's fine if we do. Not financial advice, not a financial advisor. I'm not calling for that right now. If it happens, I'm not going to be like, I told you. Even though I'm saying right now I'm not calling for that. I'm not calling for that. I'm under the suspicion that we will break out to the upside, because again, the way that we're respecting the 236 twice like that, it's not common, and whenever you see it, you got to respect it. So I'm leaning toward the upside. I do think we're going to break out, but again, the breakout level that we're watching for is at about 86K, 85.7K. And I guess technically, if you want the fibs on there, 85.2K closing above there would do it, I suppose, as well. Maybe a couple 4 hour candles above there, but I think 86K just to be safe. Closing above $86,000 would likely trigger a movement that would take us up to $94,000 to $98,000. Okay, if we look at this now, we zoom out some more on the daily time frame, and I will say on the 4 hour, the RSI is more bullishly charged. Yes, it's a rather neutral look right now between the 40 and the 60 here. You're slanted downwards right here, but overall, you look to be in a more bullish kind of phase. Right now, you're living above the 50 more so. You're not living below the 50 like this. You didn't get overbought when you did get oversold. I suppose that's not a good thing. To be fair, I guess it looks rather bullish with this, but in the total context, maybe it is more neutral. It's not necessarily bullish or bearish. But where we are here with this horizontal channel, being at the top of this right here, I do have confidence that we're going to break out to the upside. And even if we don't, even if we go to 81K, it's fine. Looking at the daily time frame here. Looking at the daily time frame, we do have a nice little tweezer bottom at the low here. We did not get oversold. We bounced off the oversold zone, and now we're residing above the 50 on the RSI, where we have broken out of this downtrend that started back in November of 2024. This downtrend in the RSI, it was very well respected. Very, very well respected. Let's try and get it. Oops, something like this, right? Very, very well respected. A little blemish here up until March, right? Up until about a month ago. And just because we broke out of this, I remember saying back here, just because you break out of a downtrend doesn't mean you're absolved of going lower. You can still go lower, but it means that you're very near the end of your downtrend. The fact that we've made this move, it was a slightly lower low. We didn't even get truly to the areas that we were looking for, right? I know I was saying for a long time $74,000 to $70,000 with a specific notion of like $72,000 to $71,000. And we didn't quite get to 72 to 71K, did, but we stopped right there at 74,500. But still, close enough is close enough, man. That's fine. We didn't even get oversold. I'm fine with that. We're breaking above our downtrend here since November, and it looks like really what we're doing now is sustaining readings above the 50. These are all good things, right? If you notice here, whenever you got to this level before, you rejected immediately, rejected immediately, rejected immediately, and now you're flirting. You're hanging out up here. You're doing something different than you did before. Different behavior begets different results, at least in my opinion. Look, same kind of context here, right? Found support immediately, support immediately, support immediately, and then here you're kind of flirting a little bit more, aren't you? You're not getting these higher readings whenever you bounce off of this, and so you went lower, so something like that, kind of, right? And obviously you did find support here a couple of times, but it just wasn't as dramatic of a bounce as these times were right here. Anyways, now we're doing that to a bullish effect. I think we're getting ready to break out from the overall high, all-time high, to the low here. The all-time high back in January 20th on Inauguration Day to the 7th of April here, high to low. We're interacting with the 382 in a way that is very bullish. It's very common with the 382 to find resistance and then go back to the 236 and then work your way up to the golden ratio. In moments like this, oftentimes you do just make a straight run for the golden ratio. So I'm expecting 94 and a half, $97,000, something in this area to be our next target destination. It's absurdly common with the first interaction of the golden ratio to find resistance here. So do not be afraid, not be scared. This is not a lower high sending us into the abyss of a bear market. That's not what it's going to be. It's just going to be a momentary lower high. Really, it's a higher high in the sense of this. We're breaking out of this overall downtrend is what it is. We'll find resistance there, probably find support at about 90K, an area that we found support at before. Bitcoin and the rest of cryptos loved finding support and resistance on its 0.5 this whole damn cycle, so it wouldn't surprise me at all if we saw that. But it's very common with the golden ratio to pull back to the 382 as well. So whether we pull back to the 0.5 and we find support at this area where we found support in this relative consolidation phase here, whether it's that we pull back there and find support, or we pull back to where we found resistance down here at this consolidation phase and we find support there. Either way, very common to do. Somewhere in between is fine as well. And then on the way out of there, we're going to be looking for 100,000, 104,000, and potentially even new all-time highs. I do expect this to happen in a very short amount of time, right? We're looking at the 4-hour time frame, we're looking at the daily time frame, and the 1 hour. It looks like we're at a point now where we're going to make a decision pretty soon. Even if we go lower, even if we go to 81.5K, it's very common from the 382 to the 236 to the golden ratio. It's very common to do that kind of maneuver. But I do think that, you know, it's what is it? It's Friday today. Yeah, we've got 2 days left in this week, 2 days, 9 hours left in this week. By the end of this week, I'm expecting that we'll see a little bit of upside movement. And then going into next week, we'll continue this thought. I think by the end of next week, we'll be up at this area here. Maybe even by the end of next week, we will have had a move up and some resolution down to finish out the month going into May with some higher prices. The call still remains that we're going to see new all-time highs by the end of April. And if we don't see new all-time highs, perhaps we are somewhere around $109,000 to $104,000, somewhere in that area. But I do believe we'll be well above 100K over the coming week and a half here. It's the 18th now, so what a week from now, 7, that'd be 25. Is that right? The 25th. I guess 2 weeks. We got about 2 weeks left in this month. Yeah, a little bit less than 2 weeks. In that time, I'm expecting that we will see some rather voluptuous growth coming our way and potentially taking us to 111,000 by the end of the month, if not higher. That's the call. That's been the call since the first. We're sticking with it, and I really like the way that we're consolidating at the 382 here. Again, it's very common with this to reject the 382 and go back to the 236 and then continue. When you consolidate like this, just below it like that, that normally gets you set up for a move that can take you to the golden ratio and sometimes even beyond. We've seen that happen, so don't be surprised. Don't get too bullish. Don't get too crazy. If we do just make a straight shot for 100K or higher, that doesn't mean that we're just on a moon mission going to 130K right now. I mean, it could happen. You never know, but likely we do find turbulence. If not at 97 to 94K, we likely will find turbulence at 104 to 100,000, something in this zone. But my bet's on the golden ratio, and then pull back here, find support, continue up on our merry way, and sometime in May, early May, mid-May, we'll be at 120K plus on our way by the end of June to prices that are expected to be around 180K, 170K, something like this here. So I got nothing else for you guys. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, hit the like button, subscribe if you want to see more content like this. We didn't even complete the thought with the weekly time frame, but I've said this on like every video for the past couple of weeks, at least a week now. Where we found support here before, and we're finding potentially support here now. Each of these times has been at the end of a consolidation phase, at the bottom of the consolidation phase. That's where the low was in the RSI. At the end of the consolidation phase, at the bottom of the consolidation phase, that's where the low was in the RSI. At the end of the consolidation phase, at the bottom of the consolidation phase, that's where this low in this exact same area as the time before and the time before and the time before, this whole bull cycle, that's where we've found a platform to launch to our next expanded area, right? If we look at the targets here, we look at how Bitcoin's performed, right? I don't know if this is the beginning of this next move. That's the end of the down move. You're at the low there, but I think the move began really right here. So we're going to take that move from a low to a high, not even the actual high, just the meat of the move here. We're going to do the same thing with this move from a low to a high, right there. And then we're also going to do the same thing with this move. I think this move didn't start here. I think it's more easy to say that it started here, right? This seems to be the entirety of the move. And I don't know if you stopped up here, you kind of slowed it down a bit. I'm going to just measure that part there. So 90%, 68%, whatever. I mean, we could measure it all the way up to the high if you want. I feel like it's somewhat appropriate, but I feel like the majority of the move stopped here. All I'm trying to get is just an idea. If we take all these measurements and we put them where the move potentially started, which I think was last week here, which just happens to be the low, though that's not always the case. You've got targets at 120K, 140K, stuff like that coming our way. I think this next move is going to be bigger than anything we've seen this cycle. And I do think that, over the coming weeks, over the coming month of May, by the end of May, we'll be up at about 140K, 130K, somewhere in that kind of range. But by the end of June, we're going to continue higher. I expect that what we're going to see here overall is a move much like this, where we move up, we consolidate for a short time, and then we continue to grow. But I think this consolidation was longer than what we're going to see going into May and June here. I think we'll consolidate for a few weeks maybe. We'll see a quick little pause up at that 130 to 150K area, and then in June we'll have that last little push up to 170 to 180K. But time will tell. We'll see how it goes. It's just a theory at this point in time, marked by some significant fibs, and then based off of the average movement that we've seen. But 138K right there at the 1618. 150K right there at the 1886. I don't know if you get out of that area, but I do think you get above 130K, and you'll probably find turbulence there at first for a little bit before continuing higher. I got nothing else to say, guys. I hope you liked the video. If you did, hit the like button, subscribe if you want to see more content like this. Thank you all for being here. I'll see you on the next one. Take care of yourselves. Bye.